Hey everybody, welcome back to Finance Friday with your finance girl, Jaquila Ross. Thank you all for tuning in so much. Make sure you like and share this post today. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube page, Jaquila Ross. So let's get straight to it. So we essentially live in a society where we essentially want to have very nice things. We want to, as they say, keep up with the Jones. And it pretty much leads to many of us not staying in our own financial lane. So for those who are Kevin Hart fans like myself, and his stand-up Laugh at My Pain, he joked around talking about how he went out with a friend and, this person had a VIP section, he had a VIP section. And at the end of the night, when he got the bill, he was like, whoa, this is a lot of money. And, he essentially paid the bill, and then the next day his friend was like, we're gonna do the same thing again tonight. Kevin Hart was like, no, I have a checking in the savings. He had to learn. He was basically, the point was stay in his own financial lane, and as essentially it was a joke for him. But when we think about reality, we really do have to learn how to stay in our own financial lane. So exactly how do we stay in our own financial lane? First you need to understand exactly how much money you make. Okay, how much money you make. Study it. If you are an hourly employee, you need to understand. Okay, on average, what's going to be my check every month, and if you're a salary employee, obviously it's going to be the same thing every month. So given those two scenarios, you can create and stick to a budget. This is what I always come back to, creating a budget and sticking to a budget on a monthly basis, right? You can also scrub that budget and figure out, okay, how can you lower your expenses? Do you really need cable, right? Are you at home even watching cable? For example, I don't have cable. I just have a Fire Stick because I'm rarely at home because I work a lot and I'm always on the go. So I just have Wi-Fi for my Fire Stick, and I barely even watch that. But anyways, scrubbing that and seeing, okay, how can I lower my expenses? Is it possible that I can go refinance my car if it's a good financial decision to do so? Do I need to figure out as far as my living costs? Do I need to find, if I'm renting right now, do I need to find somewhere else that's a little bit cheaper that can, help me save some more money? So that I'm not essentially potentially living paycheck to paycheck every month. So just really taking a hard look at every single line of your budget and figuring out a way to lower those expenses. Create an emergency fund. Everyone should have an emergency fund of at least 3 to 6 months saved. Period. Okay, whatever your expenses are, 3 to 6 months. And the biggest thing is learning how to say no. So those are essentially the mechanics, the last things I just mentioned, as far as that what you can do for yourself. But what really matters is learning how to say no. Just because your friends can take vacation all the time doesn't necessarily mean that you can. You may have to take a vacation twice a year or once a year versus 3-4 times a year. A lot of people say, you want to create memories, the money come back. But who wants to continually go on vacation and come back home to misery because the fact that you're broke and you're living paycheck to paycheck? Don't get me wrong, memories are great. Everyone who knows me know that I love to travel. But you have to be smart about it and, again, stay in your own financial lane. You can't go out every weekend maybe like some of your friends can. You can't go out to dinner all the time. You may have to cook a little bit more than others. You have to learn how to say no and stay in your own lane. Just because somebody goes out and buy the new Jordans doesn't mean you can go out and buy the new Jordans. Just because one of your friends maybe go buy a big luxury house, that doesn't mean that you can, that you probably can. You may have to buy a house that's more fitting to your budget. Stay in your own financial lane, okay? Because here's the thing. Here's some statistics for you, particularly for African Americans. African Americans have a 1.2 trillion spending power in the United States. 1.2 trillion, okay? But that does not equate to the wealth that African Americans have, okay? Because 33% of African Americans have less than 1 month of expenses saved. Only 1 in 5 African Americans have 3 to 6 months of that emergency fund put away. And nearly half of African Americans are on student loans. And for Americans as a whole, 70% of Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency. Okay? So 1.2 trillion spending, but only 1 in 5 have a 3 to 6 months of savings. That doesn't quite add up, right? And it's because many people are not staying in their own financial lane. Just because you see the celebrities rocking Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all those other high-end brands, Chanel, Prada, doesn't mean that you can. You know, you may have to go to Chinatown in New York and, you know, just fake it till you make it. But that's okay. That's between you and yourself, okay? Again, stay in your own financial lane, okay? But when it comes to money overall, it's not a race issue. It's an issue that we have across this entire world, okay? Because everyone is struggling saving money. Everyone is struggling keeping their money. So a lot of people are struggling on how to figure out how to make ends meet. A lot of people live in poverty. So what can we do to stop that? What can we do to stop living paycheck to paycheck? Essentially, you know, if you have a job, make sure you understand how much money you're making. Stick and create to a budget. Create and stick to a budget. Save some money. I always tell people at least 10% every single paycheck that you need to save. Okay. There's a key word to all of this, and I've said this before in many other videos. Discipline. Discipline yourself. Because knowledge for money knowledge is 80% behavior and 20% knowledge. Okay? 80% behavior, 20% knowledge. So when it comes to money, those are the statistics. If we change our behavior and we learn how to stay in our own financial lane, then we can create more wealth. Then we can get to a point where our wealth essentially is equated to how much spending power that we have. Because when I see that statistic about the spending power, that essentially tells me more and more that so many people are not staying in that financial lane. We're spending, but we're not saving as well. We're not saving for the future. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We're only living in the moment for today. And that is where essentially we have to stop at. So this has been your finance girl, Jaquila Ross. If you all ever have any questions, you know how to reach me. You can inbox me on Facebook. You can send me an email. Reach out to me on my business page, Ross Financial. And I look forward to speaking to you all next week. Have a great weekend.